Hey, so far in this series, we've looked at whether there's any evidence for God, what would make for good evidence, and we've looked at the Kalam cosmological argument for God's existence. But I want to pull the brakes on this series real quick to clarify something that I think is really important to keep in mind moving forward. Is it my goal to help people believe with certainty that Christianity is true, or in relation to this series, that God exists? I think you might be surprised to find out that the answer is no. My goal is to help people believe with confidence. That's why that's Truth's next slogan. And I say confidence because it's actually really hard to know something for certain. For example, you might feel certain that you're watching this video on a screen right now, but maybe you're dreaming or in a simulation or plugged into the matrix. You see, you can't be 100% sure. But that doesn't mean that you can't be confident. After all, you have good evidence that you're watching this on a screen. You can see it with your eyes, you can reach out, you can touch it. Even though you're not 100% certain, it's still reasonable to be confident in that belief. Likewise, no one can prove with 100% certainty that the universe began to exist, but the fact that the majority of cosmologists believe that it did shows me that it's rational to believe with confidence that the universe did have a beginning. So how does this all connect to last episode's argument for God? Well, if a deductive argument has a valid logical form and the premises are true, then the conclusion follows necessarily. But sometimes what people will say is, you can't be 100% sure that premise 1 is true, so the conclusion is unjustified and you shouldn't believe that. But that's an unrealistic standard. To believe the conclusion, you don't have to be certain of every single premise, but just confident in them. Or said another way, the premises need to be more plausibly true than false. Even in a court of law, you don't have to show with certainty that someone is guilty. You need to demonstrate it beyond a reasonable doubt. Or in other words, the jury needs to be confident. So is this a cop-out? Am I trying to backpedal my way out of evidence for God that I realized really wasn't that good? Well, no, because no matter what your worldview, if your standard for belief is absolute certainty, you'll end up believing next to nothing. And I want to keep the difference between confidence and certainty in mind as we go through the rest of this series, because it's a series about how I went from crisis to confidence in God's existence. Okay, so let's keep moving. If you're interested in seeing the next deductive argument for God's existence, you should click on this video that's popping up right here.